The Tigers take 2 of 3 from the Blue Jays in what was an incredibly busy weekend on and off the field for the organization. We'll talk about all the news and notes all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Monday, July 22nd, 2024. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Welcome in, welcome all. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. We have to get right into it here because we have a boatload, as we like to say here, to talk about. The Tigers take 2 of 3 from the Blue Jays in what was a very solid weekend on the field. And it is just, I don't want to say, it's certainly not overshadowed by a lot of news off the field. Definitely not. The talk of the town is the play on the field. It's really exciting. They're fighting to get back to a 500 record and make that conversation at the trade deadline a little bit more difficult than it was a few weeks ago. But there was still a lot of news that did happen off the field that we have to get to as well. But let's start out with the series. Tigers take 2 of 3 from Toronto. They win 5-4, 7-3, and then lose 4-5, 5-4 for those who are very specific about the way that I say final scores. Respect. So that's, again, 2 of 3. They're 49-51 on the season. So in terms of what went right, this is going to sound super like lame and cheesy, but just like winning, like good job. Like this is the entire month of July so far. I've just kind of been waiting, and maybe this is just me being too pessimistic. Maybe I'm just lame, but like I've just been waiting for the wheels to kind of fall off a little bit. I've been waiting for a coming back down to earth type of moment, and in the month of July it hasn't happened. The Tigers have been one of the best teams in the entire game of baseball in the month of July. So yeah, just staying hot, the offense continuing to produce, the pitching doing well enough. I have a couple of qualms with the bullpen we'll talk about later. We obviously have a big blow injury wise that we'll discuss later on as well, but Jack Flaherty started this weekend and was really good yet again. 5 2/3, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. He was phenomenal until the home run, and then it kind of unraveled, and obviously then he got pulled from the game. But an out away from a quality start, and like the efficiency wasn't great, right? Pretty high pitch count there, and with the back thing, they're trying to watch that a little bit, but I also think they kind of want to let him loose and show teams like, hey, look, it's not an issue. The back, right? Like the back injury, the back issue isn't a problem. He can still go out there and throw 90 to 100, and it's not a big deal. So him pitching the first game out of the All-Star break, I think is notable and is something to keep an eye out for, because as we talked about on Friday, he'll get 3 starts from now until the deadline. Also, just frustrating moment for the show. I went through a bunch of pitching matchups on Friday, okay? And I said the ones that happened. Then I saw an update online that was a whole different set of pitchers that we were going to face. So I deleted the entire end of the show and re-talked about it as if it was this new one I saw. And then the original one I deleted ended up being the correct pitching matchup. So sorry for getting you the wrong information there about who the Blue Jays were throwing out on the bump. But didn't affect the Tigers too terribly much, who had pretty good offensive days, 5 runs, 7 runs, and 4 runs. And that transitions us to the offense. 2 grand slams in back-to-back games. Never going to say no to that. Bases loaded success is something we have talked about, and I have complained about at length so far this season. Just RISP in general over the last month and a half has improved significantly. right? Like extremely significantly. So just having that and being able to, and like, is it a shocker that it's correlated to wins and losses? No, I don't think so. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure that one out. So good to see. But like I was saying, like this is really, it's just fun. Like that, it's not great analysis. I know it's not, like breaking down anything on a super analytical level, but like it's just fun. Like vibes are just high. It's just fun to watch the Tigers currently. And that's awesome. Jake Rogers with the grand slam, and then Justin Henry Malloy with the grand slam on Sunday. That Malloy grand slam gave me life. That really rejuvenated me. I was amped. That was a fastball up and in. One of the biggest things we've talked about with him and Colt Keith so far is the fact that neither of them, rather, that they have not been able to catch up to consistently major league velocity. And so Malloy hitting not only a home run but a grand slam on a fastball up and in from Kevin Gausman is unbelievably cool. So great weekend, and that translated to outside of just obviously two swings. They put up really solid offensive numbers this weekend. Like I said, 5 runs, 7 runs, and 4 runs. Wensil Perez stays hot, has a really big home run, but was hitting the ball all over the yard this weekend. Continues to be a fantastic storyline for the Detroit Tigers this season. Somebody that, again, like I know I say it all the time, and it's kind of broken record at this point, but like I didn't expect this dude to play in the majors this year. He wasn't even really on anybody's radar to be a major league contributor this season. And he's been not only a major league contributor, but he's hitting leadoff and has been an above league average hitter, which in this lineup is more than a lot of other hitters can say. So awesome to see him continue to produce as well. And then Riley Green had a fine weekend. Wasn't anything, incredible or unbelievable, but a storyline that came out of this weekend was him not starting on Saturday. They obviously had Kikuchi, who's a hard-throwing lefty, on the bump. And so Colt Keith and Riley Green, neither of them get into the lineup card. However, the Tigers still win 7-3. So good on, that's for as much as I and a lot of people complain about, the platooning and the extreme platooning that AJ does. When it works, you got to tip your cap as well. So, but him not playing there, but then on Sunday playing, staying in against the lefty and getting a hit off of a lefty, I think was good. It is also worth noting that like Riley Green's batting average against lefties is very close to like 200. I want to say after that hit on Sunday, maybe it's up to closer to like 210, 215, maybe 220 at the highest. Depends on how many ABs he's had against lefties this year. But it's not great. And he crushes righties, and I don't want him to be a platoon. I think he should play against both. He gets the bat on the ball. His ABs have improved, I think, against lefties throughout the season. I'm not advocating for him not to play against lefties. I'm just saying, if he has a scheduled day off, maybe to get him off his knees because of, he's playing a lot more center and the injury, obviously, from last season, I'm not going to be the most upset person in the world if it's against a lefty that throws 98. That's all I'm saying. But in general, I want Riley Green to play 162 games. Okay, I'm right there with most of the people on that one. So let's keep the ball rolling. We're going to talk about what went wrong, which is not a super long list, and actually a surprising amount of pitching, unfortunately, on this side of things. Usually it's just what went right is all the pitching and what went wrong is all the hitting. And now today we're kind of flipping that a little bit outside of Jack Flaherty, who is, again, phenomenal. So we'll keep the ball rolling, talk about all of that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is unbelievably fun, and they are America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because unlike other apps on Prize Picks, you just go against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on all the daily action with your friends and become a part of the Prize Picks community today. You can now turn $10 into $1,000. That is 100 timesing your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Again, all the excitement. There's so much fun sports happening this time of year. We just watched the WNBA All-Star game was super cool. A lot of fun stuff with prize picks there. Obviously, we're in the second half of the MLB season as well, which is always a blast. So starting pitching, strikeouts, hitters, just, hits, home runs, RBIs, you name it. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Also got to tell you all about our friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience is the formula for winning championships, and also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for, and with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that win and make your car the MVP. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate you all for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will, of course, be back tomorrow recapping Game 1 of the Cleveland Guardians series that starts on Monday, as well as talking about anything else surrounding the Tigers organization, which today is a lot. We'll see if that holds up throughout the week. Also, be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today, the free 24/7 sports streaming channel from all of our great hosts here at Locked On, bringing you the biggest stories in sports. Again, for free on YouTube. You can subscribe, Locked On Sports Today, or check it out for free in the Amazon Fire TV channels app. So let's talk about what went wrong this weekend. Kento Maeda out of the bullpen. I still hold that the stuff was better. I still maintain that belief. The fastball was still way up in velocity than what we're used to. I thought the slider was better. But at the end of the day, the stuff can be better all he wants. If the command doesn't improve, it doesn't matter a ton. Now, just higher velocity in general is going to lead to more outs. That's why you see all these arm injuries and why every organization is trying to get the most velocity out of hitters, or out of pitchers rather, that they possibly can. So inherently, he's going to be slightly better with improved velocity, I guess, because when he misses in the zone, it'll be a little bit harder to square up than 89 down the middle. That being said, if he doesn't get a hold of the command, it's not going to matter. And I don't think in this outing, he had a great handle on his command. So we'll see what happens there. We'll talk about him a little bit more at the end of the show when we talk about Reese Olson's injury. But this was not a very encouraging outing for a guy who, this was only his second appearance out of the bullpen, has really struggled this season, and now is the easy candidate to just slide back into the rotation. Not exactly injecting a lot of optimism into the organization or the fan base with that performance. Gave up another home run, as he has a lot this season as well. And then Cater Montero, 5 1/3, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts, 2 home runs against, both off George Springer, who just absolutely single-handedly crushed the Tigers on Sunday. If it wasn't for Springer, that would have been an easy win. The Tigers, they would have cruised to a victory, but he went 3 for 4 with 2 bombs. So when it comes to Montero, I don't have too much else to add from what I normally say about him. The good is good because the stuff is really good. And when he was hitting his spots, specifically, I really loved the curveball low and away that was kind of right on the corner of being a strike to not a strike to righties, right? So that would be, what is that, glove side low, that low corner glove side I loved from him in this ballgame. I thought when he was hitting that spot, it was almost unhittable. The issue is he wasn't hitting the spot very often. He hung a ton of sliders. Oh my word. He hung a ton of sliders, a lot of fastballs in the strike zone. Actually, the first Springer home run, I didn't really have an issue with. To be completely honest with you, I'm pretty sure that one was the solo shot, if I remember correctly. And or yeah, it was the start off the ball game. So yeah, solo shot. And I mean that's a fastball low and in on a full count. I don't have too much issue with the location. I didn't think he missed really badly. Maybe he meant to go low and away and went low and in instead. But like, I'm not going to be too upset over that. If that was like the only mistake he made, sure, you just got beat by one of the better leadoff hitters of a generation, albeit not having a great year this year. But it was the rest of the outing. He didn't redeem himself, right? He didn't get the command back in order after it, unfortunately. So yeah, there are going to be lumps with him. And we said that even after his really good outing, what was that, 2 or 3 starts ago, we talked about on here. I was very vocal about like, he's going to have bad outings. He's going to get popped. I promise you. But this is just a guy you got to stay the course with, right? Reese Olson got popped early, figured it out and was really good. On the offensive side, Colt Keith has figured it out, right? Like this is a guy that's kind of in that similar vein. The stuff is so good that I am willing to go through a little bit of growing pains to get to what I think he could be, which is a solid major league starter. But it's not going to come without lumps. And the command is still a really big issue that he needs to work on and iron out on a start-to-start basis. So that's kind of where we stand with Montero. The offense on Sunday wasn't great either. I mean, Gausman's really good. I know the ERA is a little bit higher than maybe we're used to, but he's always given us fits. That's fastball splitter combo is so difficult for the Detroit Tigers over the last several years, and this game was really no different outside of Malloy, obviously. But I actually, like, I don't know, they hit the ball pretty hard. Like Carson Kelly almost got a go-ahead homer. Gio Gonzalez, goodness. Shout out Gio Gonzalez, man. Athletics and Nationals legend. Gio Urshela, rather, got a hold of one late in the ball game as well, was just short, warning track. So, like, I mean, they hit the ball pretty hard. You know, like it just didn't go their way this time, and Gausman's really good. So yes, disappointing. You got all your offense in one swing. You want to spread that out. That's been an issue with the offense when they were really struggling, was they'd score all their runs in one inning and then get shut out for 8 other innings. And while that did happen on Sunday, I'm not super upset with 4 runs considering how they hit the ball. I didn't think they were dominated. They just didn't have quite enough juice in this one. It's a long season. They weren't going to win out, obviously, right? Just kind of happens. The bullpen this weekend, I thought it was kind of like mid. Like, I don't know, like maybe this shouldn't be in what went wrong. Maybe this is more fitted for stuff, but we have a ton of other stuff in stuff. So I'm putting it here. Like Will Vest inherited runners. We've talked about that a lot. And just in general, I know I'm broken recording this as well. And I don't mean to, but like it is such an issue that you don't have swing and miss stuff in this bullpen. It's such a glaring problem that needs to be addressed. I don't think there's a way to fix it mid-season. I think you're kind of just like you have to kind of just stick it out this year. But I think going forward, like you need more swing and miss in this bullpen, specifically the back end of this bullpen. And then high leverage in general. Foley wasn't terrible, but has been inconsistent this year. And I don't think he should be your best high leverage reliever, as I've said since spring training. So yeah, something to keep an eye out for there as well. Let's talk stuff. All right. Because we have a ton to talk about in stuff. All right. We'll do all of that right after this. Going to talk to you all today about our friends over at FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want this summer. All I have to do is open the FanDuel app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. So let's talk stuff, okay? Good weekend for the Tigers on the field, kind of hit or miss off the field. Some really exciting news off the field, some not very good news off the field. We'll finish up on the field here, and it kind of bleeds over into off the field. Reese Olson hurt, only throws a couple of innings on Saturday, is now put on the injured list with a throwing shoulder strain. So who knows what that could mean? That's obviously terrifying. And the Tigers have had incredibly good luck, and I'm going to call it luck, so far this season when it comes to pitching injuries. And so I'm hoping that stays and that remains. And I hope that this is just, he was a little sore. He just, maybe some dead arm, took some time off and was fine. I'm hoping, I'm praying, right? I really, Reese Olson is fantastic, and I really don't want him to have a serious injury in his throwing shoulder, but obviously they're going to put him on the IL and be super precautionary with it for now. So he goes to the injured list. Ryan Valade also goes to AAA. Bly Madris gets called to the MLB. Not an awesome debut. Goes over a lot of pop-ups. Just kind of looked overmatched at the plate a little bit, but he can play some first base, and that is one of the reasons cited as to why they chose him, despite the fact that Ryan Valade has been hitting pretty well, honestly, at the major league level in his major league stints so far this season. But I think the biggest question now is what the rotation looks like post, like now, right? Like post Olson getting put on the IL. Kenta Maeda, the easiest option is look at and go, we're got to put you back in the rotation. Not really sure what else to do. We'll see what happens in this series against Cleveland and if that ends up happening. But unless the velocity that he's found in the pen comes with him in their starting rotation, which I don't anticipate to be true, or else he just would have been doing it when he was a starter. I have a hard time believing it's going to go a whole lot differently, to be completely honest with you. But that is obviously on the table right now. Easton Lucas called up from the minors, a lefty. I don't anticipate him to be on the major league roster super long. I think they want a lefty, another lefty option up here for the time being. And then once they get to the next, because I don't think they can do 2 bullpen days in once through a rotation. Goodness, that was hard to get out for some reason. I don't think they can do 2 bullpen games, in every 5 days. I don't think they can afford that. That's going to tax the heck out of their pen. So I anticipate, and I could be very wrong, we'll see how it plays out, but I anticipate Lucas to be up here until they get to that second bullpen day. And then maybe they'll have to make a decision on somebody in the minors to call up and actually fill that spot. The other issue is, 2 issues, I guess. Matt Manning is hurt, so you can't just call him up and have that be an option. B is, I know a lot of people are saying like, hey, the Tigers are hot, buy. Right now, they would still sell. And I want them to be good. You want them to be good. We all want a fun second half. I'm telling you what they would do if today was the deadline. They would sell. And that includes Jack Flaherty. So I'm interested in if that does end up happening, which I guess is not a guarantee, but that's the direction that I'm leaning personally on what's going to happen with him. If that does happen, then your rotation gets even thinner and you have to find another option. Really between a rock and the hard place here. And that starting pitching depth we talked about so much in spring training and when Matt Manning got sent down and how that meant that the rotation's super deep and whatnot. You're always only a few injuries away from just having it be absolutely depleted. And that looks to be the case right now. Certainly throws a little bit of a wrench in the, let's make a run at things here between now and the deadline. But we'll see. Again, the Tigers have a pretty good record with AJ Hinch in bullpen games. So we'll see if they can keep their heads above water, but they are going to need a lot of help from the bullpen. And as we talked about earlier, I'm not sure I have the utmost faith in the Detroit Tigers bullpen. I think that's pretty much it for, this series centric stuff. Organization news. The Erie Seawolves threw a combined no-hitter on Saturday, combined between Jackson Jobe, Jake Higginbotham, Matt Sealinger, and Garrett Hill. This is awesome. It's always cool to see. They really did not care. The video, they're like barely celebrating. I thought it was funny. It makes me wonder if they even realized, but very, very cool. And I think now the conversation shifts to Jackson Jobe's movement internally. Look, I've made it known here that I don't believe in, like, with how prevalent starting pitching injuries are, I don't believe in wasting ammunition of arms, right? Wasting bullets, as Mark Gorush of Days of Roar says. I don't believe in that. So I would heavily consider calling Jobe up to the majors. The stuff is very clearly major league ready. He might have the second best stuff in the organization already. Now, does that mean he's going to be really good off rip? Probably not. He's probably going to be inefficient, spraying the ball all over the place. That doesn't mean he's a finished product or that he's going to be awesome off rip. But when it comes to your other choices, you're going to have to add him to the 40-man relatively soon, maybe this winter even anyway. I would do it. I would do it, and I would let it run and make people deal with Tarek Skubal and Jackson Jobe for 2 of 3 games and a 3-game set. And I think it wouldn't hurt his development. I think it would get him adjusted to major league hitting now. I also think that along with development, he's probably the best option internally, given, healthy option internally. I think he checks the boxes of wanting to give a top prospect, the best pitching prospect in baseball, a top pitching prospect, development and allowing him to get major league experience while also giving the team the best chance to win. And I think he checks both of those. So no matter which kind of side of the aisle you're on, I think he's kind of the option. Do I expect it to happen? Absolutely not. And that's why we can move on. I do not anticipate the Tigers to call up Jackson Jobe whatsoever. I think it's next to a 0% chance, but I'm telling you what I would do if my last name was Harris instead of Bentley. So I think that, I don't know, we'll see. I think there's a chance he gets called up to AAA. But I don't know, when it comes to pitching, like AAA is kind of a launching pad. Like I don't need to see Jackson Jobe in AAA before the majors necessarily. But I anticipate that's what they're going to do. And we'll see how he does there. But I do think, and that kind of transitions us into another point here when it comes to internal movement within the organization, is that once the Tigers get more and more of this draft class signed, you will likely see a lot of promotions within the organization because you're obviously injecting, 15 to 20 players into the organization. So then you have a lot more room for movement. You see a lot more promotions and cuts as well. The sad part that people don't talk about a lot. So we'll see what happens there. We did see Max Clark and Kevin McGonigle both get promoted to the West Michigan Whitecaps on Sunday afternoon. Awesome. Both of them have been raking in Lakeland for a while. Max Clark hit another home run this weekend. He has been on fire the last month or so. His RBI numbers are absurd. He is just clutch hitting. We talk about so much at the major league level. Max Clark has been the definition of a clutch hitter down in single A, down in Lakeland. And then McGonigle has just been a fantastic hitter really the entire season. And I think he's one of the more underrated prospects in the entire game of baseball. Obviously, I'm biased, but I don't care. I'm running with it. So phenomenal news that they are both going to be promoted to West Michigan. And that's really exciting. So for all those who live over in the west side of our beautiful state, you can go check out 2 of the best hitting prospects in the Tigers organization very, very soon. Again, awesome. Agree with it. They both had outgrown Lakeland pretty clearly. I think they both homered actually in like the same inning this weekend. Very clearly outgrew it. I'm interested to see how they adjust to the next level because there's a pretty decent gap in pitching between single A and high single A. So we'll see how they do. And I don't know, if even if they rake, I don't know if we're going to see either of them in Erie. I think that's more of a 2025 type of thing, but we'll keep an eye out. Good to see them get promoted. Lastly, we're going to end with the skipper getting inducted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. Jim Leland, great speech in Cooperstown on Sunday. He's just the man. And I know that there was plenty of frustrations with the Leland era and his decisions, but he will always have a sentimental part in my baseball fandom. In my lifetime, my entire life, I'm 26 years old, my entire life, the only time the Tigers have been good in my entire life was when Leland was at the helm, and then 1 year of Brad Ausmus, and they got swept in the ALDS. Like the only good years that I have had were with Jim Leland in the dugout. So I'm going to be a little bit more, I don't know, biased or sentimental or whatnot towards him, but really good to see him manage. I also, just to show, how deep the roots of this industry run, I'll have to see if I can find it. I wrote instead of doing homework, I was a horrible student. I wrote and no one ever read it. I just wrote an article, quote unquote, that was obviously just on like my home computer when I was, in middle school for sure. I was probably in 7th grade, maybe 8th at the oldest, but I was probably in 7th grade, 6th or 7th grade. Wrote a paper called Why Jim Leland Should Be Fired. And it was like 3 pages long, and I was all of about 12 years old. And now here I am. So some things just work out, man. I appreciate you all greatly. We'll be back tomorrow talking about Cleveland, talking about anything else that happens in the organization. Tigers kick off a 4-game series against the Guardians. They're going to go Tarek Skubal game 1. They're going to go Bullpen game 2, Flaherty game 3, and then currently it's Bullpen game 4 as well. But we'll see if maybe that is Kenta Maeda. We'll see if there's another roster move that happens then. We'll just see how that kind of plays out. Cleveland is throwing out their Carlos Carrasco, Cookie, fan favorite of many, ERA over 5, unfortunately for him this year. Then they are throwing out Xavier Curry, who also has an ERA over 5 so far this year. Then Tanner Bybee, who they just saw last time they played Cleveland. What was that, a week and a half ago? And then also Gavin Williams, who they saw last time they played Cleveland just about a week and a half ago, when the Tigers took 3 of 4 from them on the road, including that one loss was an 8-9 loss where they came back down, 7-0 or something. That was Maeda's last start. So we'll see how the boys turn around here. We got 3 6:40 start times. We're at home, and then a 1:10 start time on Thursday to end it. So the rest of the week, we're going to be talking about Cleveland versus Detroit. All right. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.